Okay. Hey now, everybody. Happy Thursday. Oh my God. Actually, happy leap year. Did you realize that? Today is the day, Adam.
Yeah, it's only happens every 4 years. This is amazing.
That means that anything that happens today
Hmm.
isn't actually real.
Yep.
It's all imagined. Today's an
Born,
imaginary day.
all babies born will only be will only age in 4 year increments, which is great.
They don't actually gain any benefit though. They still age 4 years. It just takes 4 years for the one
Right,
birthday to
exactly.
occur. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
8 years old, you're two.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so anyway, bunch of interesting stories today. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Aaron Bushnell. So if you remember Aaron Bushnell, he is the guy who died by blackface, as we said the other day. Yes.
My God. It's funny that you say that because someone went to Twitter and posted our stream and tagged Brianna Greyjoy saying that this was the most disgusting thing that they ever have heard on the internet. That we claim that Bushnell died via
I
blackface.
know. That's why I know. I saw that tweet. That's why I
Oh,
said it
you did
again.
see it. Oh,
That's why
okay.
I said it just now. Yes. I would have probably never made that joke again, but
Look,
now I feel like we have to every time it comes up.
look. I don't like to Streisand affect people. But after I muted him immediately, obviously, who cares about this loser? But I thought, oh man, I should have responded and said, look, at least we haven't gone on our YouTube channel and sucked up to known pedophile Vosh just because he's a leftist. I think that's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen on the internet, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Aaron Bushnell, the guy who lit himself on fire in order to protest, I guess, American involvement in financially supporting Israel regarding their attack, the war in Gaza that's currently happening. He's claiming, or no, he doesn't claim, some friends of his claimed, because he's obviously dead, some friends of his claimed that he had secret information that American troops were on the ground in Gaza killing Palestinians.
Yeah,
Oh my
supposedly
God.
they were in the tunnels. Special forces was in the tunnels. And they did I saw something where some maybe the White House had posted some picture of Biden with special forces that was related to Israel and Gaza, and the White House deleted the post. So it seemed super sus to the people who think, these kinds of things are super sus. I'm not sure it's been verified or anything like that. But that's one of the pieces of evidence that they're pointing to, that special forces are in the tunnels with Israeli troops.
So I think there's one of two things happening here. Well, first of all, it is interesting if this guy, Aaron Bushnell, did have supposedly information about this. Wouldn't he have said it right before he burned himself alive? Because like then he'd be like, oh, his action of doing this is to call attention to, this secret information that America's involved, right?
Well, he didn't want to lose his security clearance, obviously.
It just seems really weird to me that he's like, oh, supposedly he had this secret information of America doing this horrible thing. And when all eyes in America is going to be on him, he's not going to say it. He's not going to reveal that information. That
Right.
just seems insane. I mean, well, I was about to say it seems insane to me, but then again, a guy burned himself alive. So maybe it doesn't make sense that he wouldn't do this.
Our comments were very split on this. There were people that did not like the fact that we were joking around and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And there were a lot of people who didn't like the fact that in the beginning I was saying, this is something moving, and that
Mm,
we should have some sort of cultural respect for. So I mean, that show kind of ran the gamut, but
interesting.
yeah, we can't win, Sitch. So look.
It's not about winning. It's about having fun.
It
Okay.
is. It is. It is. Look, and the interesting thing thinking back to that stream was, I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt until I knew the situation. And I do understand, Sitch has made this claim that, he doesn't have a dog in this fight. He's not Jewish. He's not Palestinian. None of this relates to him, but he does have a dog in the fight. Sitch. He is a radical leftist socialist. So this is his tribe, and him, virtue signaling to his tribe in the most horrific way. But he
Hmm.
does have a dog in the fight if we look at it from a psychological perspective. So, but I
Right.
mean, I kind of said this in the live stream. I thought our coverage was pretty good. We also read a bunch of his Reddit posts. So I was somewhat empathetic to him, and then after I realized, oh, this guy's just a commie, my empathy kind of waned because I was
Exactly.
realizing, wait a second here, he's not on my team, he's on the other team.
Right. I mean, and if
So
he's making, he made fun of the
he
American
did
soldiers,
servicemen, yeah,
yeah, that died from the drone attack.
yeah.
Um, where was that? In
How
Jordan?
yeah, how am I supposed to feel sorry for a guy who makes fun of three servicemen who probably do have families back home and woke up not expecting to die that day?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
die and he makes fun of them. Look, at least this guy woke up knowing he was going to die, right? Because he did it
Right.
himself. So, look, I have no sympathy for him. I like Robbie's coverage here because Robbie is like, yeah, obviously the reasonable one on this show. And yeah, he basically says that, he doesn't condone this kind of behavior because it makes your side look bad, which it does, right?
Right. Well, I
Yeah.
want to say, like, regarding this claim about American service people in the tunnels, the the only thing I think there's one or two things going on. Number one, either this is completely made up and fabricated, because again, if he believed this or had this information, it's hard to imagine he wouldn't have stated it in his video before he showed everyone in America what he was about to do, because that'd be the way to call attention to it. That'd be the first thing. Second thing would be, or it is possible that there are U.S. Special forces, in some of these tunnels, but it would be in order to rescue, because I believe that there are some American hostages that are still
There
being
are.
held.
Yeah.
And so it
That's a
could
good
be for
point.
some limited purpose just to get those hostages. And if that's the case, I don't think anyone's going to really care about that or complain about that, right?
No, I'm going to praise him because we
Right,
should have our
exactly.
special forces over there trying to get our American people back. Look, if I was captured there, that's exactly what I would want, right?
Yeah.
If you had a family member captured, you want to know we had troops on the ground that were trying to get our people back.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah. Americans leave no one behind. Also, just before we get into the clip, I want to say this Brianna Greyjoy's commentary, Hassan's commentary, Vosh's commentary is what got this guy killed. Okay. If he was
Yes.
listening to the Sitch and Adams show, that guy would be alive today.
That's true. Listen, Sitch and Adams show, saving lives
Yeah,
everywhere,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. So if you can't handle our jokes, fuck off. The fuck out of here. Look, we're
Listen, it's
realists
not,
here.
listen, I give him credit, okay? Rachel Dolezal hates white people so much, she just got a tan, right? Aaron
This guy
Bushell,
went all the
he
way.
went the full way, all right? He went the full way. He's
See,
like, how
look,
can I simultaneously not be white and also rid the world of a evil white oppressor?
this is how you know Sitch is completely autistic, right? He doesn't even know where the line is. Sitch is the one that's always crossing the line on this show. Look, I know where the line is, Sitch. You have no idea.
I'm
Although
just
I do
saying.
look, I do think I'm the one that made the blackface joke. So, but anyway,
You did, and I'm just saying that, there is always this talk that, white people are destroying the country, and Aaron seemed to be, listen, Aaron hit all of it. He doesn't like white people. He doesn't like the police or any sort of authority
right.
forces.
He doesn't
So,
like firefighters.
doesn't, yeah, exactly. There you go. See, listen, this was like Aaron here's a genius. I said he was crazy, but I take it back. He was a genius. He was simultaneously knocking off all these groups of people in one blow, white people, the
Mm,
military,
mhm.
and
Big oil.
bringing attention to Gaza. Okay. Listen, this guy's a genius.
Right. Yeah. Big oil, climate change.
There you go. Yeah, what were the emissions
What
from
was
that?
his carbon footprint?
Exactly.
Oh my
Okay.
God. Look, who it's Jon Stewart, right? That did the Daily Show.
Yeah.
I blame a lot of this on the Daily Show. Like the whole idea of mixing comedy and news. This is how the left gained cultural power over the entire United States. So look, we're just trying to run a comedy show. We're trying to wrestle that power back for the independent voters, the reasonable ones, the kingmakers. Yeah. So take that.
Nice.
So let's listen to a little bit of this back and forth here.
Okay.
As personally implicated through his own profession, who has committed himself to serving the country and who is also committed to ending his life over what he perceives to be an unconscionable humanitarian ordeal.
No, sorry, did she just say committed to serving the country? Is that what she just said?
Yeah.
Okay, because we read yesterday, or not, the day before yesterday, that he wanted to get out of the military. He was completely not committed whatsoever to serving his country.
Yes, of course. Yeah, no, this is everything she's saying is completely fictitious about this guy.
Right.
This guy laughed at servicemen dying. Okay. That's not
Yes.
committed to serving the country.
No.
That's look, this is like the most extreme case of parasocial relationship. Like, I don't know who he's watching, but I feel like this is completely driven by his love of Hassan or something. I wouldn't be surprised if we uncover that as people dig more into his backstory.
It does shift the conversation into a realm of seriousness that is very difficult to ignore.
If you say so. I continue to be
Robbie. Wait, can we start the Robbie fan club here? I feel like I'm becoming a super fan of Robbie.
There you go.
just utterly horrified by this course of action and totally against suicide, particularly in such a violent way. I can't speak to his mental state. I think it's wrong to speculate. Perhaps he was exactly as presented, has sincere ideological opposition to what's going on. I certainly think anyone who is involved in the military and does not approve of the actions of the U.S. military should decline to follow those orders. Should get out, or should not follow illegal or immoral or unconstitutional orders.
That's a base take right there. Like, if your commanding officer says, "Look, we need to firebomb this entire village," you should say, "What? Hell no!" Right? If your commanding officer tells you to kill innocent men, women, and children, I think you should say no. But
sure,
I absolutely support that. I was reading an interesting Atlantic article by Graham Wood about the history of self-immolation as a protest tactic, and he draws on some sociological research on the subject, and he admits that you can certainly point to examples, including Vietnam-related examples, where this protest act did seem to stir public opinion in the direction of the person who did self-immolation wanted. He also says there are other examples which are less well known that you would not find a lot of basis for the idea that it influenced public opinion, including in China. He points to members of the Falun Gong religious sect who engaged in this practice in 2001, and actually including the self-immolation of a 12-year-old girl whose death was on TV like days and days and weeks, and actually helped move the Chinese population against the religious sect because they were seen as actually so extreme, and people started to believe what the Chinese government was saying about them.
this is an excellent point. So we've often talked about, and I think the research backs this up, that nonviolent resistance is what moves people politically. When the police come in with the fire hoses or the nightsticks and they start spraying people and start beating people, like, you lose empathy for that immediately. You start gaining empathy for the people who are being attacked, right?
Right.
But if you're doing some sort of self-immolation, if you come out with the nightstick and start beating yourself, like, you just look like a crazy person. And everybody's like, what the heck is going on? And you lose the popular support for your side of the argument. And I think that's exactly what's happening here. I think everyone is like, wow, this is crazy. Those Palestinian supporters, woo.
Well, I'd be curious, and I could be just biased because this neatly aligns with my position from the other day. But I wonder if, that guy's report, he was looking back at self-immolation cases in the past, if it would make sense to me logically, like when you look at the Arab Spring, okay, which
Right.
was in partly started because a guy lit himself on fire, and the guy lit himself on fire because he had like a little cart, right? His business was basically
Yes. He
destroyed.
got harassed by a lady cop.
Right. And he basically was fed up um, with the system and his inability to, I guess, have a job or to make money where he was living.
So
Eh,
specifically, the lady cop was shaking him down for a bribe. This is
yes.
common practice there. He
Right.
didn't have the money for the bribe. She took his cart and scale and everything that he had. So he went to the authorities to complain, and they basically said, "Ah, fuck off."
Right.
So this was very disappointing to him, obviously.
Right.
So that's the backstory.
I think there's a psychology, I would guess, publicly, that if the public sees a person who has lost everything or who's pushed to the end of their rope, such to a point that they do this extreme action, such as self-immolation, I do feel like that has a very different effect on people viewing that event versus a person like
Bushnell.
Bushnell,
Yeah.
who we don't understand clearly or see them pushed to that same position. So it just comes off more as like bizarre and weird, as opposed to like the desperate act of a person who, had nowhere else to turn. And I think
Yeah.
that difference definitely probably has a profound impact on whether these actions are actually effective or not at pushing their political agenda.
Yeah, that's a great point. That is a great point. Yeah, we don't know this guy's backstory. In the Arab Spring thing, we know the backstory in detail and can obviously empathize with that backstory.
Anything
That
else?
doesn't seem to.
Well, let's just listen to a little
Okay.
more. I want to hear. You obviously saw Brianna Greyjoy's rolling her eyes the whole time.
I did. I
Robbie
did.
was
That's true.
talking. So let's just hear a response, and then we'll move on.
Be what's happening here, since already polls suggest that there's a lot of sympathy for the innocent people in Gaza. I mean,
Look, this is Brianna Greyjoy's bubble, right?
Mhm.
I these polls, people for sympathy for a lot of, I'm sure people do have a lot of sympathy for the people in Gaza. Do they want the United States to do anything about it? I mean, I'm skeptical, right?
Mhm. Right.
They're like, a lot of people, I think, saw what happened on October 7th and they think this is justified.
how do you defend a government knowing that an area that it has occupied for generations is undergoing a famine, and then bombing and disabling the aid trucks that are supposed to be delivering much needed food to the area? I mean, how do you defend that?
Now, she doesn't even really talk about Bushnell. She
Yeah, I
goes
know.
straight into the Palestinian situation.
Well, his death was a way to bring attention to it, so I guess it makes sense that she would not talk about it, but instead just pivot to trying to bring attention to the situation she wants to.
Yeah. Well, this is one of the things that I think is so disgusting about this story is all the people on the left that are just using this. They're basically using the guy. They've completely used the guy. They've
Well,
gaslit him
mhm.
into lighting himself on fire, and now they're using him to make hay about their issue.
I mean, it doesn't actually bother me that they're using this guy
Mhm.
for that political purpose, because he used himself for the political purpose. Like that was the
Right.
whole point, right? So
But
it's like,
but
okay, I mean, I
like
guess.
I said,
Yeah.
I do feel sorry for this guy in the fact that he's been gaslit by all this commentary from
Yeah.
everyone on the left. All the leftist commentary has gave him brain rot to the point where he lit himself on fire. Look,
Yep.
leftism is dangerous now.
Yep. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. So you don't see Matt Walsh lighting himself on fire because someone put up a Satan statue.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to the idea.
I mean, look, not that I want to give him any ideas, but
Yeah.
I don't want to see, I'm joking, obviously. I don't want to see anybody lighting anyone lighting themselves on fire, especially
Right.
over like the current thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Especially over the
definitely.
online discourse.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I think that's good for a little update. We'll see. Everyone in the comments will probably hate us. Will hate
Everyone
us.
loves us. What do you mean?
Well, no, it's that's what's interesting about the story is it's like love or hate. Everyone's either a lover or a hater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're
Okay.
totally disgusted by what they're doing, or they think it's the funniest thing they've ever heard. Don't
Well,
you
again,
think stories like that are interesting that completely divide the audience in such a binary way?
I do. Yeah.
Nobody's lukewarm about this.
No.
No pun intended.
There you go. Listen,
Everyone's flaming hot over this.
a very fiery topic of discussion.
Right.
Okay. But no, I mean, I think that, going through his Reddit posts and seeing he was like some sort of super bread tube, I mean, toast tuber, and, very super socialist and all that stuff. And, he's laughing about servicemen's deaths and then he was ACAB. It completely, in my mind, changes the context at which to view his actions as opposed to, the way people were looking at it before. So,
Yeah.
okay. Lucy Lemonbug, thanks so much for the 5 gifted memberships.
Yes.
Thank
What's
you
up,
so much.
Lucy? And look, JMac has a very special day today.
That's right. Thank you so much, our surrogate father, Daddy JMac, for the 50 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. And JMac gave us $40. Thank you so much, Jay, surrogate father. He said, Sitch and Adam in the morning, which is a great community reference.
Oh,
And
nice.
also says, it's my 12th year anniversary. Give me praise. Technically 3 years since we got married on a leap year. Well, there you go. Look
Oh,
at that.
wow. You got
Happy
married on a
anniversary.
leap year.
12 years. Look at
That's
that.
base. That's the way to remember your anniversary forever, right there.
There you
and
go.
not to get in trouble when you miss it. Oh,
Yeah.
honey. Where did February 29th go?
That's perfect. It's like, you forgot our anniversary. Like, no, I didn't. It was the 28th yesterday, and now it's the 1st. What are you talking about? Our anniversary doesn't come for another 3 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
But that's awesome. Look at that. 12 years, J-Mac. Congratulations. That's great.
Yes, yeah. Look, love always wins, guys. Find yourself someone that you can share your life with.
Right.
That's what it's all about, Sitch.
Right. Thank you for throwing that in there at the end. Okay. Hennessy for 23 months. Thank you so much. Says special forces in tunnels. I feel like that would be true. I hope the U.S. would send them to save me from being held hostage in a tunnel by extremists. Yeah, I think that's the only possible way that's that could be true is if it's to save hostages, which at that case I can't imagine anyone would complain about that. So, the Raging D Head for $2 says another log on the fire. Wow, how dare you, sir? How dare you? Cinema Sleuth for $10 says, ever heard of or talked to Razor Fist? From what I've watched of him, he's super libertarian, has had some hot takes on things like Civil War, etc. It would definitely be entertaining. Well, thank you, Cinema Sleuth, for the 5th ever super chat. I mean, we know who he is. We never talked to him.
I mean, I think we would talk to him, obviously, if you want to come on.
I guess there's something to talk about. But
I think we disagree a lot on...
Sure, we disagree on a lot of things. I'm not really interested in doing the Civil War conversation because I feel like you should have that with his whole Lincoln spiel. I feel like you should actually debate some kind of historian about that.
Right.
I don't really want to do the research required. The Justice 35 for $5 says, hey, Sitch, I started a fire meme on Twitter. I made sure to tag you. Hope you enjoy. Well, thank you. I'll make sure I check that out. Okay.
Where are we going?
Oh, God. And the meme is Obi-Wan saying it's over. I have the high ground. And then it's Anakin burning to death saying free Palestine.
Oh, man. That's bad.
That's pretty good. Or not burning.
Watch out.
Burning
Someone's going to come
Vader.
along and tag Brianna Greyjoy.
Yeah, there you go. I should have retweet. You know, I probably will after the stream. I'll retweet that person complaining. I like the tweet. I'll retweet and say thank you. It's one of our favorite jokes. So
Brianna would never talk about us on her show. I would love it if she did, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I would love to have Brianna on our show. I can't believe she's like sucked up to Vosh on his show. So embarrassing.
Fondue for $5 says, I think it feels more performative than sincere, like he forgot to say like and subscribe between the sizzling. That's a good point. He should have made sure to say, everyone, subscribe to Hassan and hit the bell as he was burning to death. That would have added a lot of like extraness to it.
I wonder if he thought he would live. That's the thing that I wonder.
I don't think so.
Really? You thought, seems like
Mhm.
you could live, right? If you stopped, dropped, and rolled or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long it takes you to die from immolation,
Oh my God, that
but
video
I
is so,
mean, yeah, he wasn't on fire for that long, was he?
that video is so harsh.
How long? Because they kind of put him out pretty quick, don't they?
No. Why
No,
did it? No, it didn't seem like it. It
I
took him
don't know.
forever to
I
get
don't
a
know. Well,
fire
I'm sure it didn't seem
extinguisher.
like it to him, but I'm just saying I don't know what the exact
Didn't
length of
seem like
time
it
was.
to me, and I was just
Okay,
watching the video.
I don't know what the exact. I mean, I'm sure if your like entire body is doused in gasoline and you're on fire for like 60 seconds, you're probably just gonna die at that point, right?
Right? Yeah, your brain's boiling inside your skull.
Yeah, yeah, all your everything's boiling inside you. So
Yeah,
that's true.
not good. Yeah.
Okay, anyway, what's next? What's the next story?
What do you? It's your show. What do you want to do?
My show.
Yeah, you
Oh my
picked all the
gosh, look
look.
at everyone. It's the Sitch show.
You picked all the stories.
Oh, well, you picked one of them, but I don't.
Sitch is doing most of the producing on our daily streams.
Thank you.
Just
That is true.
FYI, guys. So
Okay, we can
he's
talk. Yeah.
he gets up in the morning and he, starts digging through stories. So
Well, thank
you
you.
you
It's
want to
true.
go? Well, I guess you. This is a testament. Are we going to go to the jogger? Look, I don't even have an
It's up to
article up
you
for
because I
that.
don't actually know that much about it. So,
Let's do it next because I need to find a story to bring up.
okay. So let's talk. I guess we can talk about the Christopher Rufo thing.
Okay. Do you want his tweet or?
Yeah, we can bring up the tweet.
Okay, here it
So
is.
so this is actually a tweet from last week
Right.
that we missed that, people are kind of talking about again. I saw this story on MSNBC and I just assumed because it was from MSNBC and it's from a writer who's very woke that the story was BS. Okay. And the story was it's all like the Republican assault on sexual freedom is underway. And I thought, oh, I kind of looked at this and I rolled my eyes. And it was AOC, and she was kind of whining about how the Republicans want to, prevent women from controlling their body, all these things that we've heard regarding abortion and all this other stuff. I kind of was like, it sounds like BS to me. But I read the article and I went, what? What is this? And there was in the article, there was a tweet from the Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation is a very right-wing think tank, and it had a clip, and it basically says, quote, this is what the tweet says from the Heritage Foundation. It seems to me that a good place to start would be the feminist movement against the pill and for ... returning the consequentiality to sex, end quote. Conservatives have to lead the way in restoring sex to its true purpose and ending recreational sex and senselessness used of birth control pills.
Nothing
Okay.
makes me sadder than that tweet. That's a tweet,
Yes.
right?
It was a tweet, yes.
No more fun sex.
Yes.
What? Sitch! My entire life has lost meaning now.
I know. Look at for you specifically, that is true.
What do I look? This has been the driving force from my entire life. What the heck?
That's true. That's true, yeah.
That's not Christopher Rufo. You've lost a fan.
Right.
Unsubscribe, unfollow, block.
So the Heritage Foundation tweeted that out. And, there has been this kind of like push against birth control pills for a while now from some people on the right. It was always like recently the position on birth control pills on the pill wasn't necessarily that it like let people have sex recreationally. It was that when women are on the pill, it affects their behavior and psychology, supposedly, according to studies. And okay, that's true, and it affects it in some way that's negative. It would make sense that maybe certain people should be cautious about using the pill unless they need to. Because, some women use it because they have very, very painful periods. And so, but anyway, so the Heritage Foundation
Doesn't it seem like though that people get on the pill once they like get a boyfriend and want to have unprotected sex with them? So it seems like if you're in a relationship, you're using condoms until things get serious. The pill is not changing your mental chemistry or whatever, right?
well, no. So the idea, my understanding is that there's research. I haven't delved deeply into this. Is that when women are on the pill, it does change some aspects of their psychology
Yes, but
to some extent.
I'm thinking you know, the woman is not on the pill when she starts a relationship and then gets on the pill because the relationship gets steamy.
Well,
So the
I guess it
brain
depends
chemistry
because,
is changing mid relation. Like you've
well,
already liked the guy and you're already,
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, well, it depends. First of all, I mean, it depends. Like, I dated someone who was on the pill before we started dating because they had very painful periods, and this
Oh,
was a way to
that's what they
alleviate
told you?
that.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, that's what they told me. Okay,
Oh,
that's what they told me, right?
I'm on the pill because. Okay.
Okay,
Anyway, this is your ex-girlfriend, right?
this is my ex-girlfriend, yes.
Right. Okay.
And I dated another girl who was also on the pill. I've dated a lot of girls on the pills who was allergic to
Oh,
latex. So that was probably more for recreational
oh
purposes.
okay.
But but anyway, so okay, putting that all aside. Okay, so the Heritage Foundation puts out this tweet. Michael Shermer retweets it or quote tweets it, and he says, "I called it yesterday. The IVF frozen embryos is just the start. A feminist movement against the pill and recreational sex. Have sex, make babies." Okay, now he's obviously referring to the story that we covered about the Supreme Court case in Alabama, where they ruled that frozen embryos constitute children in terms of the legality of them, being killed or destroyed. So,
Yeah, we covered
okay,
that story.
we covered
Our
that story.
coverage
Yeah.
was excellent. Best
Thank you.
coverage on the internet,
We
guys.
have the best coverage on the internet for everything.
Of course. Yeah, because we're
Very
not
true.
ideologically possessed like
Yeah,
99% of the
we have
people
the
we're surrounded
best,
with. Yeah.
most fiery,
Right.
fact-based, smoky,
Yeah.
coverage of stories. Yeah.
Look, if we could show that video of Bushnell, I would give him a blunt. Okay.
There you There you go. It turns out that actually, if you zoom in, you really see Blunty Fly is the one who started the
Right.
fire. Okay.
Exactly. Blunty I was just buzzing by.
There you go. There you go. So anyway, so Christopher Rufo responds to Michael Shermer, and he
Right.
says, "So what? Question mark. The pill causes health problems for many women. Quote, recreational sex is a large part of the reason we have so many single mother households, which drives poverty, crime, and dysfunction. The point of sex is to create children. This is natural, normal, and good." Hmm.
Christopher Rufo. Oh my goodness. I hope your
Yeah.
wife didn't read this tweet.
So this is unfortunate because I do, and I think you do too. We do like Christopher Rufo. We do like a lot of stuff he's done in terms of the anti-CRT bills and a lot of the other work he's done to kind of go after critical theory stuff and wokeness in general. And think he does a great service to the country. Though, if you recall, I said, there was something in the past. I didn't remember what exactly it was, but that I kind of raised an eyebrow at that Christopher Rufo maybe had some sort of like very religious leanings or very religious ideas that he kind of wanted implemented in the country. And this isn't exactly that, but it does unfortunately like hit me in that way when Christopher Rufo is essentially defending the concept that sex should only be used for procreation and not just because people like to have sex.
Yeah, I did. This has a lot of honey, I have a headache tonight energy. Look, I think Christopher Rufo already has 3 kids.
Mhm.
So maybe he's just a little too tired to perform his husbandly duties. He's like,
Wow.
honey, no, are we going to have procreative sex tonight?
We already have 3 kids.
I know. How do you keep a marriage alive if you've already got 3 kids and you can only have procreative sex? I mean, look, I'm just asking,
You have
right?
more kids, I guess.
Isn't the marriage over, or is this where you bring the handmaid in?
There you go. There you go. It's you know, the left has done a lot to destroy its coolness factor and done a lot to destroy its brand, I'd say, over the last 8 to 10 years or so, in terms
Right.
of becoming like the woe is me, very sensitive, also very domineering, controlling of people, becoming like the busybodies, right? And the
Yeah.
right has sort of, because left has adopted that position, the right has been able to sort of rebrand itself with the younger generation as being like the cool, kind of hip rebels almost, which is unusual for the conservative faction just
Right.
by its nature. And yet, this, there's a huge step backwards if the right is going to come out against, having recreational sex. I mean, you're not going to win anything with that message, right? That's the ultimate losing message in terms of the, getting kids to be on board with what you're pushing.
Yeah, yeah. 99% of the thoughts, teens have is about sex. Just like
Yeah.
that's normal. That's the normal, natural, and good right there.
Yeah. So I'd say a rare optic loss for Christopher Rufo
Oh,
because he's
yeah.
usually very good at this kind of stuff. So
This is
very
like
surprising.
self-immolation
It
on
is.
Twitter right here.
This
Rufo
this
just
is
lit himself on fire.
the Aaron Bushnell of optics. Yes.
Yeah.
Not good. Not good.
Yes.
So I don't think everyone should write off Rufo or disregard everything he's saying, but you always have to keep in the back of your mind that even people that are doing good, even people you agree with, they could always have some weird takes that you're like, huh, maybe this
Yeah.
guy shouldn't be emperor of the country. Because it's a weird thing that can always go on there. So
Yes. This is so weird because the closing down the IVF clinics in what state was this in
Alabama.
again? Alabama. Yeah. I mean, is that going to result in more higher birth rates or lower birth rates?
Lower.
Yeah, that's my intuition too.
Mhm.
Not only that, like IVF allows people with money and resources to do family planning excellently, which I think is what conservatives generally want, right? They
Right.
want stable families, a mom and a dad. Like you need you have to have a mom and a dad to be able to afford IVF. It's so expensive.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy, but they're doing it because they believe personhood begins at conception. So
There you
if
go.
that's their belief, it's driving the whole conversation. So what do you got some super chats or are we moving on?
I got some super chats. Nova for 3 months says, if you're going to start a Robbie fan club, count me in. There you go.
Oh,
Thank you,
yes.
Nova.
Nice. We will. Maybe Robbie will come on the show.
Ed Wood Sr. for $10 says, a few years ago, Brianna mentioned she didn't think much of the Beatles. Her reasoning was, quote, have you heard their version of Twist and Shout? It's not nearly as good as the original.
Oh, that's
Wow.
kind of
Interesting.
shallow.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. How dare she attack
The Beatles are great. I love the White Album, man. I must have listened to that album a gazillion times.
They're okay. Not quite. I like some of their songs, but I'm a little young. Okay. It's a little too old for me.
Sitch.
Yeah.
The Beatles were like half of them were dead when I started listening to the Beatles. The Beatles are like ancient.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was listening,
I wasn't
to
implying
them,
that, even though I was.
You totally were.
That you were alive, that you were personally the doctor who brought the Beatles screaming and crying into this world. Okay.
No. They were already gone. We were already into John Lennon's solo career.
I think my favorite Beatles song is Eleanor Rigby. I like that song. It's a good one.
I was in, I think, 5th grade when John Lennon was killed. And my 5th grade teacher came out and told the class, and she was crying.
Oh my God.
She was in tears.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I was like, who the fuck is that?
The Raging D-Head for $20 says, Greyjoy is spreading the word of the burning bush. No.
Oh,
thank you.
Oh
That's a pretty good one.
We're going to get blamed for that, guys.
There you go.
So keep them coming.
Blaine the Skateboarder for $2 says, the pill was like candy in my high school. Quote, painful periods. Oh, that's weird.
Oh, yeah. Look, that was kind of my experience too, but.
Really?
Yeah, it usually followed a relationship though. Like some people got in relationships and they were tired of using condoms and they wanted to like bump it up a notch.
Well, if they want to, why not? Go for it.
Those relationships were established on good old fashioned, no brain chemistry was altered by the pill because they're
Right.
just, fucking teenagers in love.
There you go.
Yes.
Rico Zoro for $10 says, I need a definition for recreational sex. Has anyone seen Paternity Court? Many cases, the dad is purposely trying to have a baby before dying, which is likely due to the lifestyle they live. Wait, what?
Is that for IVF? Is that commentary on IVF?
No, it's about
Not
the
sure.
recreational sex.
Oh, okay.
Many cases, the dad is purposely trying to have a baby before dying. What do you mean by that? Like, someone's going out to war, someone's engaged in some sort of risky lifestyle where they think they're gonna die.
Someone has AIDS?
Yeah, I don't know what you mean, but I don't watch Paternity Court shows, so I don't know what you're referring to. But
I mean, I've seen a couple of Maury Povich. You are
I've seen that, yeah, but they don't talk about them.
the father.
Soldoge for 2 hours says, sent such a fun story for the stream, LOL. Yeah, I saw that. I don't know if I have time to get to it today because I do have to leave early and quickly today. So I have not Adam, I have a dentist appointment to get to. So
Yeah, which is cool.
Cameraman 502 for $5 says, I guess I'll bring in the 101 summary theology of the body. The idea is not, quote, no sex unless it could lead to children, but sex should be open to pregnancy. Interesting. Well, I mean, it would have to be. Well, wait a minute. What's the difference? No sex unless it could lead to children, but sex should be open. Oh, there's a slight difference, I guess. Because if it was no sex could lead to children, then it would mean that you can't have sex unless you honestly think that there's a chance of getting pregnant, which obviously regarding timing, you'd say, oh, well, you can't have sex with a woman right after a period, right? Because that's not going to lead to child. But sex should be open to pregnancy would just be like, oh, well, you can, but there should always be some, I guess, sliver of a possibility that could happen. But even then, I guess you can make some weird theological conversation or discussion, say like, hey, if you're allowed to have sex with a woman right after her period, so she's probably like very, 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 very unlikely she's gonna have sex. Is that really that different than having sex with a condom or on the pill, where there still is some very minuscule percentage chance, right? It's not 100%.
My
So-
grandmother used to say she had a child for every type of birth control there was.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But look,
So-
she lived obviously before they perfected the pill, so.
Right. There's always a chance. Okay, you want to talk about this other story?
So somehow Sitch, I mean, this story, I see a lot on my timeline. Sitch,
Right.
what's going on your timeline? You haven't seen this story at all, you're saying?
I actually haven't been on Twitter a lot in the last couple of days, so.
Oh, good for you. Okay. So this story is about a 22-year-old nurse in Georgia who was on a morning run. She was attacked by an illegal immigrant from Venezuela, 26 years old. Here's what the guy looks like. And he bashed her skull in. Here's the headline. Suspect in Georgia nursing student's murder is accused of disfiguring her skull, court documents say. So they've apprehended the guy. They've got him on a bunch of surveillance video, basically disposing of her bloody clothes in the apartment complex that he lives in. He lived in an apartment complex not too far from there. There's basically like a lake and a nature forest area where a lot of the college kids run behind this university. So she was on a morning run, and his apartment complex is like right behind the wooded area. So all he has to do is cross some train tracks, and he's like inside that wooded area.
Mm-hmm.
So, but a lot of people are obviously upset because this guy was in New York City for a while and got in trouble with the law and ran. I guess he's got warrants for his arrest up there. He ran to Georgia, where he's living in an apartment with his brother and two other guys, and he ends up. It hasn't come out yet what exactly happened, but one can infer that there's some sort of sexual assault that tried to take place. The left is saying that he probably hit on her and she rebuffed him. And so as she's running away, she decides she's going to call 911, and he intercepts her and stops her from calling 911 because he's an illegal immigrant, asylum seeker, and he's worried he's going to get deported. So the left is saying, oh, of course there was no sexual assault. He was just worried that she was going to go full Karen on him. And I mean, it's pretty disgusting because, you know, obviously there's some implication there that it was her fault. And
Hmm.
people on the right are saying, obviously, this guy's a dangerous sexual predator, and he probably jumped her bones and tried to have sex with her right there in the woods. And
Right.
so those are the two movies. Terrible, terrible, terrible story. I feel so bad for the family and for this young woman, a nursing student, obviously trying to help people, and 22 years old, and she's dead. And this is I can't help but think, like when I was reading this story, the first thing that popped into my mind was Trump just won Georgia. I can't
Right.
imagine this not completely destroying Biden in Georgia. So what is your take on the story, and what is your take on that, Sitch?
No, I mean, I think what you're saying, Biden won Georgia by very slim margins, didn't he?
Yes,
And
yes.
I mean, you're right, even though this is happening, months away from the election, I mean, this could definitely be enough of a push to push Georgia into uh, the Trump camp. So that is interesting in terms of the political aspects of all this.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the case is horrible. But something like this would happen. I don't know. It says that when did the guy enter the country? It says he unlawfully crossed into the United States in 2022.
Right.
So this is one of those cases of like someone comes in the country. I'm assuming this is one of those cases. Someone comes in the country, they say, "Oh, I'm seeking asylum," and then it just takes forever for them to be processed because the system is very slow and awful,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah.
I saw a thing too. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, is saying he wants to be able to turn over immigrants that are arrested for violent crime to
Hmm.
ICE and have them deported immediately. He's like,
Right.
why are we keeping them here? You know, I don't want them in my city,
Hmm.
right?
Right. Right.
Which makes sense. So this is a horrible story. We'll cover it. We'll cover it again once Sitch can dig into it a little bit more. Like I said, Sitch has been doing the lion's share of the producing on our daily streams. So I just know uh, obviously a lot of people on the conservative side are covering this because this is the narrative they want to promote. A lot of people on the left are not covering it because they're worried it's going to hurt Biden in the election, and also they're worried it's going to create negative stereotypes about
Sure. Sure.
illegal immigrants, right?
Of course. There
Yeah.
was, I guess, related to this, I did see today, both Biden and Trump are going to places on the border to give speeches about immigration. And so the speculation is that Biden is going to show up on the border and then he's going to unveil or talk about whatever his proposed immigration executive order is when he does his State of the Union speech coming up.
Bi- Biden has to do something. The
Yes.
problem is whatever he does is not going to have an immediate effect. So it's going to be spun by the Republicans as not working. Whatever he does, it's going to be spun as too little, too late. You
Hmm.
effed up. It's over for you. And the environment right now for Biden winning is so terrible. Like everything
Yeah.
is against him. They were supposed to. I was watching the Fed meeting, and they were supposed to lower interest rates. I wasn't watching the Fed meeting. I was watching videos on the Fed meeting. They're supposed to lower interest rates, but they are still inflation is still stubbornly sticking around, and they paused on lowering interest rates. Now they're even saying there's a 15% chance that they may raise interest rates, which is devastating. Like
Hmm.
that's the stock market is going to crash. Biden's going to get blamed for it. Everyone is going to be bitter because mortgage rates are going to go up. Like everyone is just kind of waiting for interest rates to go down. And it's just this environment with the immigration and the economy, the inflation, Biden. I don't see how Biden stands a chance.
No, I mean, I definitely agree. It is looking, it's gonna look very grim for Biden coming November, unless there's some massive change. Because especially if the economy, if you're correct, the economy does do worse, which some people are predicting, or if inflation manages to hang on, price inflation manages to hang on, and immigration continues to be a problem, then it's hard for me to imagine how Biden could possibly win that scenario. And regarding some executive order, I think Biden would have to do something very, very extreme. Because, obviously, as you said, you're correct. Anything that they push, it's going to take some time for it to come into effect, obviously. Um, so I think from an optics perspective, Biden would have to really push for something very extreme in order to sort of uh, you know, get the public on his side in immigration. And it's hard for me to imagine that Biden would have the balls to do, or the Biden administration, I have to say, because Biden's probably being, puppeted by his advisors at this moment. It's hard for me to imagine that the Biden team would do anything that gutsy on immigration out of fear that they would alienate the young progressives who are already mad at them about Israel. So,
Yeah. That's the problem. He's going to get attacked from both sides. He's going to, no matter what he does, the right is going to attack him for too little, too late, and the left is going to attack him for too much, and you're racist. Like that. He's just in a lose-lose situation. This will push him more and more to bow out, because if it looks like he's just going to get annihilated, what's the point, right?
that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Look, I'm
Definitely.
stepping down. It's time for me to pass the mantle on to the next fall guy who's going to get his ass handed to him in this election. Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Nuisance. Okay.
Yes.
No, I mean, and it's gonna be, but if Biden doesn't do anything, it is gonna, even if he passes like the mantle to someone else, if he doesn't do anything that is seen as like possibly being effective, it is gonna massively hurt the next Democrat. Because even though they'll promise the moon, as all candidates do when they're running, it will still be seen as like, just empty promises if of the Democrats if nothing really changes on immigration. So.
Yeah. We got any super chats?
Yeah, Nomad for 10 months says, "Oh yeah, double digits, baby." Thank you, Nomad. Mike Hassan for $5 says, "To Sitch's point, over the last few years, I've been seeing the meme quote, 'I'm not a conservative, I'm just a lib,' from 20 years ago." Yeah. And I mean, obviously that's not gonna fly when you start to crack down on the shouldn't have sex for fun crowd. So
Ah, yeah, that's a little too far for us
yeah.
liberals. Yeah.
Oh, I sent you a headline if you just want to have a visual up for the next story.
What is it? What's the next story?
The Canada Harms Act thing.
Oh, okay.
But let me keep reading Subers.
Go ahead.
Nomad for $10 says, "Every time I see people do crazy political stuff, it reminds me of the quote from Tropic Thunder, quote, 'Never go full retard.' I feel a lot of people fall into that nowadays, unfortunately." I agree. I definitely agree. That is going on here.
Yeah, lighting yourself on fire is full retard. So.
Actually, you know what? No, I completely disagree with you, Nomad, 100%. If Aaron Bushnell had gone full retarded or full retardant, then he wouldn't have burned to death.
Sitch still pulling it out.
Aaron Bushnell should have gone full retard. Then he would have been protected. Okay, so you know what? I'm sorry, Nomad. Thank you for the $10, but you're wrong. He should have gone full retard.
Is this the online harms bill proposed? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Christian Baller for 23 months outside the simulation. Thank you so much, Christian. Top tier, baby. Says 1 month away from the gold pyramid. Have either of you looked in the Project 2025 story? I've seen a lot of leftist fear mongering about on Twitter, but unsure if it's actually something to be worried about.
Send us some links. Yeah, send us some links.
I'll look into it. I actually don't know anything about it. I didn't really look into it, so.
But we got to get Christian Baller on the show too. Maybe we can do it next week sometime.
Right.
He wants to come on and talk to us. I think he's been on one of a call-in streams, so.
That's true. Angry Bellspout for $2 says, "I wonder what Bushnell thought about the USS Liberty." Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I don't know. I could, maybe he doesn't like Jews. Maybe he believes those conspiracies. Though I could just easily buy that it has nothing to do with that. He's just one of these, anarchist socialist types that kind of bought into all that propaganda. So. Liam S for 20 months. Thanks so much. Says, "Not sure if you guys spotted it, but did you check out Tulsi Gabbard's CPAC speech? Vivek has a new challenger for Trump's VP pick. Interesting listening to." Yeah, I did not listen to. I saw that it happened, and I saw people were making hay about it. I didn't actually listen to it. It's hard for me to envision Trump picking a former Democrat, even Tulsi, for the slot over someone like Carrie Lake. I mean, yes. I'm not sure what would be the benefit. of him doing that.
Tulsi has the exact same problem that Vivek has. She's like this online personality, which if you're an online person, you think, oh my God, she's the most popular person in the world. But
Right.
I bet you'd run polling and the normie is like, Tulsi who?
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Is that Rogue from X-Men? Because she's
I
got that
mean, that could be popular. Look.
because she's got that thing in her hair.
Hmm.
She has
She
the rogue
does.
look. She
Yep.
definitely has the rogue hairstyle.
She
So
does. She does. I like it.
yeah. Look, Nikki Haley could be picked. I think
I'm skeptical, but
you're still skeptical. We'll see how
yeah.
she does on Super Tuesdays coming up next week here. So we'll see how she does.
Yeah, we'll see. Jerome Bound for $10 says, today's my 40th birthday, and I gotta go do 12 hours in my wagey cage. Love you guys. Always appreciate your work, especially. Well, happy birthday, Jerome Bound. Though if today's your 40th birthday,
Mhm.
aren't you only 10? Aren't you only 10 years
Oh
old?
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if your birthday's on
Perfect.
February 29th, you're only 10. What are you talking about? Why are you working? This should be, oh my God, this is child labor law violation. What's happening?
Well, thanks for listening and happy 40th, obviously.
That's right.
So
Okay. So this is an interesting story. So Canada is passing or is about to pass this thing called
mhm.
the Harms Act.
Okay.
Okay, the Harms Act here. Now, this is a very interesting piece of legislation. It's aiming to crack down both on uh, various types of pornography on the internet as well as hate speech.
Okay.
And this actually, in regarding the pornography thing, this actually tackled something that we discussed earlier, which was would it be or would America make it illegal to make deepfakes of people? And this bill, I don't know if it was already illegal in Canada, but this bill definitely makes it illegal to make a deepfake pornography of a person without their consent.
Yeah, I'm down with that. A lot of people are against that because they want to be able to make deep fake porn of their ex-girlfriend. Just leave your ex-girlfriend alone, okay? Okay? You'll find someone new.
Well, I would imagine
Jeez.
I'm guessing that the majority of the deepfake pornography is aimed at celebrities, not people's ex-girlfriends or something.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if the bill splits up public figures and
It
private
does not.
citizens. Okay, so it's anyone.
It's anyone. It's
So the
anyone, yeah.
celebrities are look, the intuitions, I think that it's some sort of harassment, some sort of defamation. I think they're there. I think the public will get on board with those arguments.
Well, the interesting thing is everything in this bill, there is a workaround to almost everything in this bill. This bill only applies to public posting on social media and streaming sites. It does not apply to private messages.
Well, that's perfect. That's exactly what you wanted, Sitch. You were
Well, no,
like,
no. Well, I mean, what this would mean is that someone could still create that stuff, I guess, and they could send it to someone privately and they wouldn't be violating the law. So.
well, that's not good because that is harassment.
Okay, but so that's the porn part. But the more interesting part, at least the more interesting part to me that everyone's talking about is the hate speech aspect of it. So this, obviously in Canada, hate speech is already a crime, and this bill further sort of solidifies that into law, saying very, very explicitly that it is illegal to do hate speech on the internet. Okay. And this is what a lot of people are freaking out about. Um, and there's some kind of interesting things specifically regarding the hate speech aspects of this bill. Not only is hate speech illegal, but they've increased the sentencing guidelines, the maximums. Okay, they're not saying this is what you'll get, but they're increasing the maximums that a judge can order you if you
All
get
right.
convicted of doing a hate speech on the internet. It was 2 years, and now they've increased it to 5 years if
Five
you do a
years for
hate
hate
speech.
speech. Look,
Yes.
a lot of this hate speech stuff I disagree with. So this is, I mean, I'm conflicted here. I do think deepfake pornography to harass people is wrong,
Hmm.
but I don't think of it as hate speech as much as I think of it as defamation, which
Right.
defamation is already illegal, right?
Yes.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think of it in a completely different category.
And to be clear, this hate speech thing, it's not like it doesn't require that the post be trying to incite violence. simply communicating something that is the vilification of an individual or group of individuals on the basis of, prohibited grounds such as their race, sex, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
constitutes hate speech, even if there's no violence
If you
involved.
say women are horrible drivers, you're committing hate speech.
Right. Yeah. And also another aspect of this that's important is that they want to be able to essentially hold social media companies responsible if that content is not quickly removed from the website. So this
Right.
is kind of seen as like a way to not only go after individuals that are posting, quote, hateful content, but it's a way to sort of strong arm social media companies into like getting rid of the content that they deem to be hateful content.
These people have no idea how the internet works.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's some other interesting things too. So again, this doesn't apply to DMs, which is weird. So I guess you could DM someone hateful content, but you can't post it. Um, but there's something that is unusual that I saw. I didn't see really anyone talk about this. It says in the law, if Canada has like seen someone post something that they feel like violates the law, and the Canadian government has written a report about it and is going to like investigate that person to see if they're going to press charges, and the social media company knows about it, in the law, it says the social media company cannot inform the user that they're being investigated by the Canadian government, number one. Or number two, if the Canadian government tells social media like Twitter or whoever to take down a post, it also says that social media companies not allowed to tell the user that they took down their post because of the Canadian government,
Hmm.
which
That's a little sus.
that seems kind of insane. I don't know how that works. I don't know how things work in Canada. In America, it's hard for me to imagine a law like that would ever be held up as constitutional, but
You got the secret police on you there.
right. And see, like on one hand, I can sort of understand the justification for the investigation thing is because like they don't want to alert someone if they don't want to alert someone because they're investigating them to delete their posts or whatever. But I don't see what possible justification they could have if they tell a company to remove a post that the company's not allowed to say they're removing it at behest of the Canadian government. That seems entirely suspect to me.
Hmm.
They also are able to put out warrants of arrest and warrants to enter people's property purely on the grounds of hate speech. Okay. So if you do something deemed as hate speech on the internet, they can have a warrant to break in your house.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. You post online, women are terrible drivers and they can come into your home and search.
Theoretically, yeah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
They also increase the maximum penalty. This is interesting. If a person is advocating for genocide on the internet, they can get life in prison as a maximum penalty.
Advocating for genocide.
Right. So I immediately thought, does that mean that all the people saying from the river to the sea are going to get life in prison if they're Canadian?
Right.
I
I mean,
mean,
that's not
that's an
such a
interesting
bad thing,
question.
right?
Right, yeah. I mean, are all the Palestinian activists going to get hit with these massive, uh, charges in Canada? I mean, I'm skeptical, but it'll be interesting if this gets brought to case in Canada land. So, oh, and then so another thing that was people were pointing to that I couldn't find it in the bill, but I did see a judge or a magistrate or whoever, whatever you weirdos in Canada have, talking about this was supposedly in the bill, somewhere in the bill, is the ability for the government, if they believe they have good cause, to preemptively go after a person if they suspect or if they say they have good reason to suspect the person will engage in some kind of hate speech online.
What? That's insane.
Yeah, so
That's
there
insane.
isn't it? So they were saying that they had some capacity to preemptively go after some. So if they think you can, if they say they could have a good reason to suspect that you're going to do some kind of hate speech online, they have the ability to preemptively, I guess, take your ability to use the internet away from you
Right.
and preemptively make it so you can't move close to like a temple or a church or a mosque or wherever would be the target of your hatred. So, of your supposed preemptive hate speech.
Look, if you think someone might be murdering someone else, maybe you could investigate that. But this is like you might say something offensive online and therefore we're going to investigate you. What the heck? This is just a complete waste of resources here.
Yeah,
Go
isn't that
catch a
crazy?
rapist. Go catch a
Yes.
murderer.
Yes.
So many of these people, they're being stalked by their ex-boyfriend or their ex-girlfriend, and they go to the police, and the police are like, "Oh, we can't do anything until she kills you." Right? But
Right.
look, did she say something offensive online? Okay, let me write that down. What is her social media?
Like, oh wait, no, she was only saying offensive things to you personally, not on the basis of the fact of your
Oh,
sex
yeah,
or race.
yeah.
So, it's okay.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, this seems totally insane. This bill, Canada again cracking down its authoritarianness on speech. And, again, the million dollar question is, you don't trust, I don't trust, I'm assuming most people listening don't trust, uh, the Canadian government's ability to even dictate what is, quote, hate speech in the first place. Does this include not referring to someone by their pronouns? Like, it's just, there is, unfortunately, in Canada, there just is not a tradition of free speech the way there is in America.
Right. Yeah.
So
Which is based in liberalism, right? The thing
that's
that
true.
Sargon wants to get rid of.
This is why, yeah, there you go. This is why free speech and the Bill of Rights is just so important. And it is this is interesting because were kind of going back to our conversation with Carl. This, we have two governments that are both governments that exist under the framework of liberalism, and you have very, very different outcomes. You have America and Canada, and because America has enshrined in it this just freedom of speech is so important, something like that wouldn't fly in America. Where in Canada, they don't have that. So, when the population goes through these sorts of ebbs and flows of cultural directional shifts, it can be very easy for the government to get seized by the current thing and actually create laws about it. So that's one of the good things that I think a lot of American laws prevent the government from being, grabbed by the current thing.
Well, our population was spawned from people escaping religious persecution.
Right.
So they're going to be doubly sensitive to people who are
That's
telling
true.
them you can't say what you want to say, right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
That's what it comes out of. So I just think it's like those populations reproducing over and over again. And then also that kind of meme spreading throughout the world where other people in other places who are like, hey, I hate being told what to do and what I can say and what I can't say. I'm American in my deep heart. I'm moving there. I'm going to find my way to the land where I can be who I want to be. So we have all that immigration flooding in and continually reproducing. And we're basically producing the Ubermensch, the Superman.
Right. No, that's a good point. I mean, we do have this rich culture of protecting our liberties because we told the King of England, we told him to F off.
Yeah.
We're going to be free. And you know what Canada did? They said, oh, excuse me, sir, excuse me. Can we please be an independent country, please? And they're like, wait a few hundred years. And they're like, okay, we'll do that. We'll just patiently wait. And they did. And that's why they don't care about freedom. Because they asked like bitches.
Wasn't France there? They came from France.
No, they didn't.
Canada.
Quebec did, but not the rest of Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had the Queen of England. They had Queen Elizabeth on their money.
Do they really? Okay.
They used to. I don't know if they still do. But
so they were English. They were English colonies as well. I know that obviously South America and Mexico were settled by Spain, the conquistadors. So that's why they speak Spanish. And we in America were settled by the English, and they actually landed in a place where it was super hard to live. It was very much a struggle, which, sometimes the best things in life come disguised as bad news because that struggle turned into the capitalist Western style democracy that is great today. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We had a Protestant work ethic because that's what caused the settlers to survive.
Right. That is
true.
true.
Down in South America, it was a temperate zone. They already had all these structures in place where they had an elite that basically lorded over everyone, and most of the population was slaves. They had human sacrifice, and the Spanish came in and said, look, we're the new elite. They just killed all the elites and they took over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The English showed up in America and they were like, Where's the elites at? They had a bunch of Native Americans running around, you know, stealing and killing each other. There was no structured elite that they could take over. They're like, fuck, this sucks. We got to farm ourselves. We got to feed ourselves. I thought this was going to be an easy ride. Yep.
True.
It's great. There's your history lesson. Don't say Adam doesn't read any history, because I do.
Okay. Christian
But
Bonhoeffer.
look, I don't know what happened in Canada. Like, I thought
Well,
Canada
why
was
should
a bunch
you?
of...
They're not even a real country.
I know that. Look, exactly. Who fucking cares? But I thought since they spoke French Canadian that it was somehow just like the French were trying to get their colonialism on too. So they landed in Canada, but they probably had the same kind of problem up there. There was no structured hierarchy that they could take over.
Well, no. So, like, I mean, my understanding is that Quebec or some region on the eastern part of Canada was under control of France, and that's why they have like the French Canadian. But then I guess I don't know if they gave it to, because I actually don't know the history. I don't know if they gave it to England or England took it, but at some point England gained control, or Britain gained control of the whole region, and became under British rule. I don't know if it's still technically like a British Commonwealth. I think it still is technically a British Commonwealth. So even though it's just like ceremonial now.
Well, this makes sense why the French fought with the Americans in the American Revolutionary War. They were like, "Fuck you, England! You took our colony. We're gonna."
Well, I don't know the timeline of all this stuff, but
yeah, I do know that the French were, they joined us in the American Revolution because they hated the English.
Sure, obviously France and England were at each other's throats in that time period. So, Christian Baller for $2 says, "Sent you all both Project 2025 info. Thank you. I'll check it out." Moondoggy for $5 says, "Dev needs an underground railroad now." That's right. Dev's gonna get hit. He's got to get out of Canada, man. He's got to be careful. Zero for $5 says, "I'd love to hear your thoughts on the new Avatar series." Well, thank you, Zero. We'll probably talk about it at some point. I don't know if Adam's seen it yet, but we'll definitely talk about it at some point.
Look, I mean, if you want to talk
I don't have time today, but
okay. Well, because Sitch wants to talk about it for like 5 hours.
I do want to talk about it for like 5 hours, yeah.
I watched maybe 4 or 5 episodes of the animated series, and I did watch the first episode of the live action, and oh my god, they did the same exact thing the Star Wars prequels did. They got the most annoying kid to play the lead. Oh, it's like torture.
Yeah, I think, and I'll just say, I guess I'll say this briefly. I think the biggest problem with the live action Avatar is just the acting is really not good.
The acting is horrendous. Yeah.
And it's not just the kids, because like you always expect the kid acting to be bad, but the adults acting is really awful too, which is kind of surprising. You know, Uncle Ira's acting is really not good. He's completely off the mark for that character. And the guy who plays Ozai is really bad. They're all the acting in that show is just pretty bad. And I think that's the biggest pitfall of the show.
They made a giant structural change too from the original animated series. That it's like, why? Why did you do that? You
mean showing the attack in the beginning?
Yeah, the introduction of the kid who is your main protagonist in the animated series. I mean, he looks like a badass. You're like, okay, I'm interested. I'm hooked. What's this guy's backstory? They completely give away his backstory, and it's gay. It's like so gay. You're like, no. Why am I watching this stupid little kid?
Yeah, it's not good. We'll talk about it more later because we have a lot to say about it. But yeah, no, that's a good point. Mo Mothman for 1 month says, "So should we call Canada a police state or a Mountie state?" There you go.
Meow.
Nomad for $5. There you go. Did you say meow? Nomad for $5 says, "Damn, the police are searching my house all because I posted a meme of the frog saying hippity hoppity women are property. Can't have shit in Canada, LOL."
Did you post that? First of all,
no, he's just joking. But there you go.
Look, what's your wife / girl? Well, maybe she's down with that. Who knows? Some women like to be property, right? Yeah. They're into that.
Angry Bellsprout for $2 says, "Which lives matter? The Georgia girl wasn't that group." I mean, that's true.
Well, she could have been massively progressive. They haven't really talked about politics, so.
That's true. Which is good, right? You shouldn't really. Someone got
Well,
like
not
murdered.
really. I mean, this is where the left obviously scores minusculely on loyalty because maybe she's a huge Black Lives Matter supporter and they're completely throwing her on the bus for some like fucking criminal border jumper.
Right.
It's like, what? Why? How
Right.
would that make you feel?
Not good.
If your girlfriend was brutally murdered by some illegal immigrant and she's a giant progressive and the progressives just completely ignore that,
It
sweep
would
it under
make
the
me be
rug.
not progressive.
Yeah. This is horrendous, man.
I agree.
This is the thing too. That college is going to be tangibly affected by this entire situation. You think anybody's going to go jogging in that forest again? You think people are not going to be terrified to go jogging in that forest again?
No, they're not.
That's like a huge thing for their college.
You know, I've been spending a lot of more time walking around outside.
Mm-hmm. Wow,
I,
Sitch, you're making progress.
well, it's for the wrong reasons.
Okay.
I've
What do you mean? You're
unfortunately
peeping in windows and stuff? Sitch,
no,
don't
no,
do
no, no,
that.
no, no. I've unfortunately been suckered into playing Pokemon Go.
Oh my goodness.
And it's funny, I've actually, been like, I'm walking around and walking it like I've been going to like forested areas where they exist where I live and places that there's not a lot of people. And it's funny, I'm thinking like, I really need to buy a gun so that when I'm playing Pokemon Go, I'll be armed. So I think I'm gonna go buy a gun just so I can hunt for Pokemon with some peace of mind. All right.
I mean, I'm thinking the same thing. I don't usually carry I don't in California it's super strict. I don't have a concealed carry permit, so I would have to get a concealed carry permit to be able to do it. But I do worry. I mean, I've seen things. There was a incident recently where this guy, and it's not too far from my house. The guy is just he's basically talking on the phone out in front of his house, and I don't know why this happened, but a guy walks up to him and just beats the shit out of him. Just right there,
Jesus.
he goes down. He's literally unconscious. The guy walks away. You hope it's not just some random act of violence because that's the scariest thing, right? You hope like, okay, well, this guy was fucking this other guy's girlfriend or something, and he decided he was gonna get even. But yeah, look, you want to be armed for that kind of thing.
That's
But
right.
the thing is, you don't know if you're going to get in more trouble if you shoot the guy because obviously your life is going to be completely in upheaval. You're going to be taken downtown. You're going to be booked for murder. It's like the society we live in, Sitch, is so messed up. Like what they did to Kyle Rittenhouse.
Sure.
That happens to law-abiding citizens, and it's the worst thing ever.
Well, maybe. I mean, I agree with you. I'm just hoping that by walking around armed, that it gives me a bonus to catching Pokemon. I think if you have a gun, the game should register that as like an intimidation bonus so that it's easier to catch the Pokemons. I mean, that does make sense. And it would promote, people carrying guns, right? Pokemon, look into it.
Sitch is gonna have some. He's gonna have some run-in, some altercation. He's gonna end up killing the guy, and it's gonna be completely spun as
It's gonna be fine.
it's gonna be spun as Sitch was going out looking for trouble. He wanted to kill an immigrant. He was a racist. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to kill an immigrant Black Lives Matter supporter.
Can you imagine the headline? It's going to be, old man looking for Pokemon shoots illegal immigrant. Oh, that's going to be a nationwide story. But hey, at least it'll help the channel grow, right?
Right. Oh yeah, that will be good for our channel. Of
There
course,
you
you'll
go.
have to
If
live
this
stream
ever
from
happens, by
jail.
the way, lawyers listening to this in the future, I'm saying this purely as a joke. This cannot be used as evidence against me that I actually had some sincere intention to go shoot somebody to help the channel grow. All right, fuck off. Okay, let me read.
Just don't light yourself on fire for the channel, okay?
I won't.
I like your commentary.
Thank you. Look at this Vosh, our former good friend. We've since
We've renounced Vosh.
Renounced
Okay?
Vosh ever
Vosh is
since
trash.
his pornography got leaked or got shown. Vosh for $4 says, "I've been called bad before. Many have said I do things that are not correct to do. I don't believe in talk such as this. I'm a nice man with happy feelings all of the time."
I checked in with Vosh's channel yesterday, and he's still losing 1,000 subs every couple of days. So
There you go.
the the exodus continues. Look, and
Vosh,
I just want to
yeah.
say, look, if you're subscribed to Vosh's channel right now, you are a suspected pedophile in my book. So
Wow.
yeah,
Vosh also
it's easier.
continuing his Kung Pao enter the fist meme says, "First a joke. What do you get when you cross an owl with a bungee cord? My ass. Yeah, ha 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 ha. Enough."
What does that mean? It's like a riddle or something.
It is. It is.
So did
Okay.
you loved Avatar, right? That you were a big fan of the show.
The show?
live
Yeah,
action
I do
show.
love the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I was not very happy with the live action show. I went into it and I really wanted to like it,
Right.
but just couldn't grab me. Okay.
My favorite part, okay, we open the show up where he is literally like flying all over like Superman, right? He's just
You mean the live action?
In the live action one, yeah. He can fly, right?
That was really jarring. In the live action, they have Aang can just literally fly, and they show this like right off the bat, and you're like, "What the fuck am I looking at here?"
Right. So he's flying around like Superman. So
Yeah.
we open introducing the character. We can see, oh, look, he can fly, right? About halfway through the episode, he falls off his air bison, and suddenly he can't fly. He's
That's
like
true.
falling to his death. I'm thinking, dude, are you that stupid? You can fly.
How did
What are you doing? Just fly. We know you can fly.
And if the airbenders could all just fly, how could they possibly get defeated by the Fire Nation? They could just fly away.
Yes,
Like, I'm
exactly.
just gonna fly away now, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I
don't
can
know.
fly.
And it is weird. Aang in the show, obviously he always needed a glider to fly, except like, there were some occasions in the Avatar state that they could do some wonky stuff, but
Well, they do that. They switch to that in the middle. They're like, okay, now all of a sudden he needs his glider to fly.
which is the way it's supposed to be. Yeah.
And he loses his glider and then falls off the air bison.
Right.
But how did that make it in there, Sitch? How did nobody say, oh, I thought he could fly. What is happening here?
I don't know.
How is he falling?
Also, there was a decision. I think it was a very bad decision, which was so in the cartoon show, whenever Aang airbends, they draw like visual effects of like air and wind. Even though in reality, and I understand it can be a little confusing, even in the show, no one can actually see airbending. You can't see wind, right? It's just you feel it. You don't see it unless it's like dust or something. But in the show, they would animate it just so you, the audience, could like clearly see what's happening. In the live action show, they drastically reduced the visual effect of airbending substantially, so you can like barely see it, I just think that was a very bad decision. It just makes it look weird and not cool. Even though it makes more sense like realistically.
Yeah.
So okay.
Anyway. Well, I guess we'll devote an entire live to this. I only saw the first episode, but it's just, my rating is pathetic.
I am curious for you to watch.
My rating is great. The show is pathetic. Yeah.
I am curious for you to watch the rest of the live action without have seen the cartoon and to get your impression of it. So,
okay. Yeah.
Because the cartoon definitely colors your perception. JMac, our surrogate father for $10 says no guns allowed in Pokemon. That's Pal World, Sitch. There you go. That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, great point. Seeing the cartoon doesn't change the fact that there's this huge plot hole in the middle of the thing where he's falling to his death.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck?
M8566 for $5 says Pokemon Go already promotes color-based ground turf wars. Now Sitch wants to arm those people. LOL. That's true. Listen, we need to bring back, the gym wars, okay? We need to bring back the The blues versus the reds versus the yellows. Okay. Jamie the Panda for $2 says, "You're not a shiny." Bang! That's right. Shoot any Pokemon that's not shiny. Commander of all 511 for $2 says, "Need a gun for Pokemon? Just play Pal World." There you go. Moondoggy for $5 says, "It's okay, Sitch. I feel the same way about One Piece, but I was clearly in the minority." There you go. Yeah, I mean, I never saw, or I tried to. I never really watched the anime of One Piece, so the live action one was like good enough, I guess. Sketch for $5 says the goal of any adaptation should be to make people check out the original One Piece, Dune, Part 2, etc. In this regard, Netflix Avatar fails.
That's
It
a
definitely fails
great
that
point.
regard.
That's a great point. Same with comic book movies. The whole thing should be so good that it drives people to want to get the graphic novel or the
True.
comic or whatever source material it is.
Stug for $5 says, "Wouldn't it be fun to edit to put random scenes from Shyamalan's film into the show, like the earthbending scene, for instance? That'd be, I'm sure someone will do it, and they'll be like, could you even tell that they swapped it out or not?" So,
Yeah.
I'm not. Oh God, I'm not gonna read that. I'm not gonna have Adam read that with his dyslexia.
What is
So
someone's? I don't even have the chat.
it's in the
chat
Streamlabs.
set,
So,
Oh, okay.
anyways, that's it, Adam.
That's it. We got everything done.
We got everything.
All right, cool. I guess we're gonna be back on Sunday. We don't necessarily know what we're gonna watch, but I think we're gonna try to do something. Since we did just talking to Sargon last week,
Yeah, we're gonna watch a video. Classic Sunday show. If you have any recommendations, make sure to send them to me and Adam on Twitter.
Yeah, great stuff. All right, cool. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.